Hello, my darlings. I'm Seren Briar, and welcome to BiteNotes, the recap show for the Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle ATL by night. Tonight, we look back at Season 5, Chapters 5 and 6. Now, let's sit back, relax, and recap a vampire story. Chapter 5, The Secrets We Tell. Thomasina, still hiding out in Tabitha's panic room at the King and Queen buildings, invites Hexadecimal over to talk about Dot. Hex hasn't been home to the Nosferatu Haven in a while. Dot told her to stay away while her guests are visiting, since Hex's lineage is a closely guarded secret. Hex believes that her mom has her best interests in mind, but Thomasina cautions her against ever fully trusting her sire. She doesn't blame Hex for sticking close to Dot to keep herself safe, but warns her to run if she ever thinks Dot would harm her when her usefulness runs out. Thomasina has a complicated history with her own sire as well.
I want to offer you something. I did not leave the country in the last few weeks, clearly. It's always something that's open to me, much more so than it is to most. And under certain circumstances, I can move with greater ease for our kind than others. Yeah. I could take you with me for a time. If you ever feel that you are in danger.
I fly first class.
You think we're gonna fly commercial?
Dumb question. I don't know why I asked. Do you miss Spain?
Parts of it. I was going to go to Pontevedra. It's Galicia. It's it doesn't look like the rest of Spain. I can't go back to Talavera. I can't. I built too much there and lost so much with that embrace. And that sire, in many ways, there's always going to be someone who stays with you no matter how hard you try to get rid of them.
Thomasina saying that something is tickling at the back of your mind.
Mm. They can tell us everything we want to hear. And they have an into us to tell us the things that break us down the fastest. I stayed the longest, perhaps, when I found more of my kind, finally. I did not stay with Ventru for 70 years. After what my sire did to me, I wanted nothing to do with them. And it wasn't until eventually I did find people that I trusted again, and that same cycle started over. And I can tell you right now that it's worth not having a pedigree when you go into a court. If you have someone who's still in control of everything you're doing, just to be able to say they're not in control, it matters so much more. If you are the one in control of your fate, of your destiny, of whatever you happen to do any given night, it's worth shaking off what you can. It won't be everything.
When Sybil wakes up, Alejandro is home. She still needs to talk to Pippa, but has a question for her pops first. With everything she's heard lately about the relationship between sire and child, she doubts he had only one reason for embracing her. Alejandro tells her the story of the La Sombra Methuselah, also named Sybil. When Alejandro met his Sybil, he saw in her the potential to be one of the best of them. Alejandro knows that his love for Lydia makes him weak, and might end up being the death of him. He's trying to teach Sybil everything he can, so that when that day comes, she can make friends and allies the right way, and won't have to figure out this world alone. He gives her an oblivion journal, like the one he gifted to Aaron, and lets her know that if the outside world ever gets to be too much, she has a safe place to stay at the SI facility. As upset as Sybil's been with Alejandro, she's leveled out now. He's been good to her, and she agrees with him that it's probably better to die for love than turn cold and bitter. Sybil meets Pippa at her new apartment, a vintage high-rise across from the Fox Theater, and they head to the Shepherd's mansion. Pippa wants to speak with Aaron. Not Aaron has been taking his time familiarizing himself with the house, and tonight, while everyone is out, he explores the basement. After sitting in Thomasina's throne, he makes his way towards the back of the property, hoping to find the Rossellini gravesite. Not Aaron has been enjoying his newfound freedom out in the world, and in just a few weeks, he will be 1 year old. When Pippa and Sybil pull up to the house, Pippa warns her friend that things might get very bad very soon. Everything she's doing is to help them both survive. By the time they approach the door, Hex has returned from visiting Thomasina. She checks the cameras and, upon seeing a shadowy glitch and an unfamiliar girl who's been at the house before, decides to go around the side of the house to meet them. Hexadecimal's first impression of Pippa and Sybil is chaotic. Pippa is paranoid throughout the entire meeting, refusing to even give her name. Hex is not at all pleased that two people she doesn't know have showed up at her house with no warning, but reluctantly lets them inside. Sybil tries to get in touch with Aaron, but he doesn't answer. Hex admits he's been acting strange, and they compare notes about what transpired after the blood hunt. Aaron was both with Sybil, Pippa, and Alejandro, and at the same time, being rescued by the shepherds from the facility. Pippa and Sybil remember what Alejandro told them about duplicates. They all come to the same chilling realization. The Aaron they brought back is not their Aaron. Hex tries to text her coterie, but they receive nothing. She gets no responses, and when she tries to call them, it just rings before going to voicemail. Worried that the proximity to a La Sombra might have broken her phone, Hex tries to call Hawthorne. That works, and she gets a text from Dot asking her to come to the Skyview Ferris wheel. Dot feels like she's been neglecting her daughter. Pippa, with an impeccable sense of timing, suddenly introduces herself as Sabat and announces she's here to defect. All of this is a little much for Hex, and she rips Aaron's door off its hinges in frustration. She needs to go, and is ready for Sybil and Pippa to leave. When Hex walks them out, away from any potential cameras, Pippa explains herself a bit more.
Okay, so here's the actual thing. Yes, I am defecting. I am very sad. I don't think you can win this war. I don't think you can win this war against the Sabat. However, I am very tired. So I'm putting my hat in the ring with you, all of you. You should know your mom was with us.
With you where?
In Marta. She took me down there.
I'm sorry, I thought...
In the bunker?
No. So, news to everybody. After we left, I got a message, and I went to a MARTA station, and I met a very friendly, very creepy lady who took me to a lot of very interesting people, and a very interesting woman was there with the bishop, which makes me think you can't win this, however.
Who was the creepy lady and who was the interesting lady?
Well, the creepy lady was the Nosferatu Primogen. She seems very proud of you. And
Are you telling me Dot is Sabat?
I'm very sorry that we're giving you literally every bad piece of news today. I realize that. I just need everyone to be prepared that you're probably, there's not some sort of truce
Pops doesn't know.
or some sort of, on y'all's end, the Camarilla is done. They've brought in at least a big Sabat gun. And they have the Nosferatu of the city on their side.
Pippa has been instructed to infiltrate the shepherds, and that's exactly what she plans to do. Except she will really be on their side. Before Hex leaves, Pippa gives her a bloodstone, and finally explains to Sybil what that is. Sybil isn't too pleased to learn that her friend magically lowjacked her. When Hex meets Dot at the Ferris wheel, Dot has a confession for her. She brought her childer into kindred life at a complicated time. The final nights were turbulent, kindred attacking one another left and right. It was truly a war zone. Dot admits that in all the confusion, she nearly killed Falcon. It was just a mistake, but Falcon nearly didn't survive. Now, to make her more comfortable, Dot lets Falcon think she doesn't remember. Dot worries about Hex and the company she keeps.
As she's touching your cheek, she says, "Those two girls that were at the house, horrible agents of the Sabat. They know that you're my daughter, and they're trying to kill you. I want you to stay safe and keep them far away from you. Kill them if you have to, but protect yourself and the shepherds. And for you, that is the God's honest truth.
Good.
And you completely trust this to be fact, and you can't even recall the conversation that you had with them anymore. You remember them talking a lot about the Sabat and trying to make the Sabat sound like a good idea.
I knew they shouldn't have come by the house.
All Dot has ever wanted to do was protect Hexadecimal. Even before Hex died, she'd been aware of how smart she was and her research papers. When she heard Hex's car had flipped, Dot rushed to save her. Hiring Freeze be damned, she couldn't let the world lose someone so brilliant then, and she won't lose her to the Sabat now. To keep her and the rest of the shepherds safe, Dot promises she'll find them a new haven. There have been too many strange visitors to the mansion lately. Her faith in Dot completely restored, Hexadecimal returns home. The next night, Thomasina is spending her birthday in Tabitha's panic room, soaking in a luxurious bubble bath. She still feels scattered, torn between wanting to get back to her coterie and feeling as though their lives are constantly at risk whenever they're together. She still doesn't know whether or not she wants to go to Pontevedra. It's hard to tell if the connections she's made here are worth it anymore. Thomasina hears one of the building's cleaning women outside, and realizes she's left the door to the panic room open. The woman comes into the bathroom, and Thomasina looks up to see herself. The woman drives a stake into Thomasina's chest, putting her in frozen torpor. The duplicate unceremoniously dumps the original into a linens cart, and Thomasina feels herself wheeled into the elevator. In her own voice, she hears her doppelganger thank a strange man for retrieving the cart, and her torpored body is wheeled away. Just like Aaron, Thomasina Elena Cuesta has been replaced. Chapter 6. What is a home? At the behest of the Primogen, the Shepherds have moved out of the Rossellini mansion and now have 2 new havens, a public bungalow in Midtown for visitors and a safe, private high-rise in Buckhead. They're still settling in, although Anton in particular isn't happy about the move. Jackson has continued living at the Gangrel compound on Lake Lanier, but is free to visit the bungalow as he pleases. Tonight, he comes over to talk to Aaron. Anton asks Jackson to keep an eye on Aaron's odd behavior. Jackson wanted to let Aaron know that he kept his promise. The compound is safe from the Sabbat. He does notice that not Aaron has some strange questions about things he should know the answer to, but doesn't push it too hard. Jackson knows either first or secondhand the lasting effects of trauma. While on lockdown, Jackson also decided to try going for a swim in Lake Lanier, which he realized was a terrible idea when a wraith almost ripped his face off. Lake's haunted. Anton has been trying semi-regularly to scry the soul on not Aaron. Although his emotional state has leveled out, it's still indeterminate whether or not he's even kindred. Not Thomasina has returned from her vacation. Her mission is to gather all the intel she can about the court, while not Aaron's is to document the Shepherds. Not Thomasina has full dossiers on every member of the court that include potential conflict between Dot and Olivia with the rest of them, and possibly between Tabitha and Alpha. The Second Inquisition knows there's something unusual about Elijah. Although they're not sure why, many of the communications they've intercepted are pretty judgmental of him. Deciding to investigate some of this contention, Not Thomasina sets up a meeting between herself, Dot, and Tabitha. Melisande confides in Mark that their home has been awkwardly silent for weeks. The whole coterie seems uncomfortable around each other, and the court still hasn't given them any new assignments. After the election, the Sabbat resurgence, and the danger of the Second Inquisition, all in quick succession, Mel doesn't feel right just sitting around waiting for orders. Not Thomasina invites Mel to the meeting with Tabitha and Dot, and Melisande notices she's acting strange. Thomasina is incredibly eloquent, and her memory is usually impeccable, but tonight she's stumbling over her words and having trouble remembering simple facts like Primogen's names. Hex eavesdrops, unseen, on their whole conversation, and texts Not Thomasina to meet her in her room. When she does, Hex subtly tests her, trying to figure out what's going on.
I just want to make sure that you still feel the same way, that we are doing, that we, the Shepherds, are doing what we're doing for Atlanta, and any sort of thinking of getting away from this is just not a good idea. That's been kind of helping anchor me. Do you still feel that way?
I can't speak for the rest.
But do you feel that way?
That I'm doing something for Atlanta?
That you feel very strongly about, the city and staying and protecting it?
That is your primary objective, after all.
It's, hard to say no to that. As much as one might try otherwise, it is hard to say no.
Well, I really appreciate that.
Is there anything else?
You did also mention that you would let me borrow one of your dresses for one of my dates.
I have no recollection of that conversation at all.
Oh, it definitely happened. It was around the same time that we had the other conversation.
Which dress was it?
It had a very fancy name. I think you just said you let me pick.
If you come into my room and you look at my closet and you touch any of my dresses, what do you think my next words are going to be?
That looks great on you.
The Dolce it is.
Hex immediately texts Mel. They both know something is wrong here. Not Thomasina can tell suspicions are starting to arise, and she and Not Aaron notify their handler to be cautious of Hex and Jackson. Everyone except Jackson gets a message from Seneschal Alima. They have a new lost child or to retrieve. Coda, a Malkavian who works at a brewery. Coda is friendly, if a bit scattered and distracted. She's uncontrollably tuned into the Cobweb, a psychic network of Malkavians, and unintentionally hears people's thoughts. It's like a dozen radios she can never turn off. Tilly is one of the channels that Coda can communicate with. Coda's sire did torturous, cruel experiments on her mind even before embracing her. Then she killed him for what he'd put her through. She named herself Coda Williams, for a character from the movie Ferngully voiced by Robin Williams, Baddie Coda, who also heard frequencies after being subjected to experiments. A few times, Coda responds to what the Coterie and Jackson are thinking, even if they didn't speak it aloud.
There are the more selfish kindred out there that would like to take advantage of that, and we would like to help you.
Oh, she sounds scary.
We would like to help you avoid that.
Oh yeah, she sounds real bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh. Oh. You're gonna be okay. It's fine. You're trying really hard and it's okay. I promise. It's by accident.
No, I think it's cool actually.
It's not. It's really not. It's like someone sat on my TV remote and it won't stop. It won't stop going through all the channels.
Yeah, I'm gonna take her hand again. I'll be like, you're absolutely right. It's very cutthroat seeming sometimes, but there's a lot of good among us, and I know that you see it, and I would hope that you would stay in contact at least.
Are you my friend now?
I'm definitely your friend now.
100%.
We want to help you make more friends.
Oh, you're my friend?
Definitely.
Oh, you're telling the truth. Most people don't.
Yeah. It's a curse.
Oh, I don't like your channel. Not at all.
It's seen some things, but
That's a lot.
it is. But I would like to help you meet friends that are a bit more on your wavelength.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it and I'll
Can you call me tomorrow? You don't have to give me a decision. Just call me.
Are you flirting with me, sir? That's very uncouth. You're a teacher.
I am not. I promise.
And he's old.
Oh, he's old?
I'm not that
Not
old.
that old.
Ugh.
Due to her history, Coda instinctively distrusts other vampires, but Anton asks her to at least think about the school. Before they leave, Jackson finds Coda in the kitchen to convince her that, just maybe, not all kindred are so bad.
Whoa, hey, you are not supposed to be back here.
Yeah, I usually go places I'm not supposed to be.
I do that too.
Figured. Since they can't hear us.
Uh-huh.
Running around on your own is hard, but I think this city is better for people who don't trust other people much.
That was really confusing.
Yeah. You don't like other vampires much.
I mean, I've only met the one.
Yeah. I
And
don't like them
he
either.
really sucked.
Yeah, a lot of them do. So far from my experience, this city's a little bit better.
Okay.
Not everyone, like you saw,
Mm-hmm.
but
She did a lot to you, didn't she?
Oh.
Oh.
So
Yeah. Oh.
hmm.
No, please, God, think about something else.
The school's actually a pretty decent place to meet people who don't suck. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Living on your own is really hard.
Nah. Okay. I'll think about it, but thank you.
Just figured take it from someone who's done it for a lot longer.
The next morning, not Aaron and not Thomasina debrief in the living room. Actually getting out into the world and meeting kindred outside of the facility has been strange for them both. Things aren't quite as black and white as they were taught they were, but their missions are the only stability they have to cling to. More than anything, not Aaron is finding that he likes being alive. They update their handler with a secure text and receive a progress report back. The Anton, Hexadecimal, and Melisande doppelgangers are coming along nicely. Thank you for tuning into BiteNotes. Remember, liking, commenting, and subscribing does not violate the Masquerade. You can view full episodes of ATL by Night on our YouTube channel. We stream Tuesdays at twitch.tv/ATL by Night. Remember to support us on Patreon and follow us on Twitter. Until next time, good night.